Jayson Tatum is finally speaking out. After months of silence and speculation, the Boston Celtics superstar has opened up about his long and painful road back to the court. But what he revealed might be even more powerful than any game-winning shot he's ever hit. Before we dive into the details of Tatum's emotional confession and what it means for his comeback, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button so you don't miss any breaking updates about the Celtics. Now picture this. It's May, the Celtics are battling the New York Knicks in the semifinals, and everything feels within reach. Until, in a split second, without contact, Tatum goes down. Silence fills the arena. The diagnosis comes quickly: a torn Achilles. For any athlete, that's one of the worst injuries imaginable. For Tatum, it wasn't just the end of a season. It was the start of a new kind of fight. 5 months later, 21 long weeks, Tatum is standing again, running, and even shooting on the court with teammates. The 27-year-old looks focused, but behind his calm expression, there's a storm. "I could write a book on it," he said in an exclusive interview. He described the early days after the injury as brutal. Weeks spent unable to move, trapped in a routine of pain, frustration, and tiny victories that most people wouldn't even notice. He talked about needing a shower seat, about how every simple task, getting dressed, walking, even standing, became a battle. "It took me an hour just to take a shower and get ready," he said. And then came the milestones: losing one crutch, then both, and finally removing the walking boot. That's when things began to shift. Slowly, painfully, Tatum started to feel like himself again. But physical progress was only part of the story. "The mental part is definitely the toughest," he admitted. Coming from one of the league's most composed and disciplined stars, those words hit differently. They reveal what fans don't see: the fear of not being the same player, the doubt that creeps in during sleepless nights, the pressure of carrying a franchise's hopes while battling your own limitations. Yet Tatum's spirit is unbroken. He recently dunked for the first time since the injury, a moment that lit up the practice court. Teammates reportedly stopped what they were doing to cheer him on. It was more than a dunk. It was a statement. A sign that Tatum isn't just trying to come back, he's fighting to come back stronger. The Celtics organization remains cautious. They're not putting a deadline on his return. Those sources suggest the team believes he could rejoin the lineup at some point during the 2025 to 2026 season. No rush, no pressure, but make no mistake, the anticipation in Boston is reaching its peak. Fans are watching every training clip, every photo, every glimpse of progress. Because deep down, they know that when Jayson Tatum finally steps back onto that court, it won't just be a return, it will be redemption. Anthony Simons didn't just play basketball on Sunday night. He made a statement. In a building known for its unforgiving energy, the newest addition to the Boston Celtics looked like he had been part of the team for years. TD Garden, a place where many visiting stars have stumbled, felt like home for him. And that, more than the points or the stats, is what has people in Boston talking today. From the moment he stepped onto the parquet floor wearing green and white, Simons carried himself with quiet confidence. He didn't start, but when his moment came, he turned the game into his own audition tape. 21 points in 25 minutes, 6 out of 9 from three-point range, and a performance that made it impossible for fans to look away. Against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Simons played like a man trying to prove something, not to the critics, but to himself. After the 138-107 victory, Simons summed up what many already felt. "Every time I came to play here, I enjoyed the environment, and obviously, the fans are top-level fans," he said. The way he spoke about the Garden didn't sound like a player adjusting to a new city. It sounded like someone who already belonged there. But what really caught attention wasn't just the numbers. It was the way he created them. These weren't easy, open looks. Simons dribbled into traffic, stepped back, and launched shots that left defenders helpless. He played with rhythm, patience, and fearlessness. Coming off the bench, he didn't behave like a role player. He took control, dictating tempo and confidence in every possession. Behind the scenes, there's something deeper going on. Simons had to adapt to a completely different reality. A new coach, a new system, a new role. In Portland, he was used to starting, leading, being the focal point. In Boston, he's learning to become a piece of something larger, and that's not an easy shift. "At first, I was kind of overthinking it, but once I got out there, I felt a little more comfortable," he explained. His honesty is refreshing. It reveals how much this transition means to him, and how much he's willing to grow for the sake of the team. The Celtics crowd felt it too. From the energy in the stands to Mark Wahlberg filming scenes on the sidelines, everything about that night screamed Boston. It was more than a preseason game. It was a glimpse into what this team could look like when everything clicks. No Jayson Tatum. No excuses. Just hunger. In just 25 minutes, Simons didn't just impress. He offered something Boston desperately needed, proof that their depth is real. Proof that this team has options. His performance gave fans a reason to believe that the Celtics, often labeled predictable, might actually have another layer waiting to be unleashed when the real games begin. And the timing couldn't be more significant. The regular season tips off in 9 days, and every minute on the floor counts. Simons has set a new bar for himself, one that could make it impossible for Joe Mazzulla to keep him off the court for long. The front office is surely watching closely, because performances like this one don't just happen by chance. They change rotations, contracts, and long-term plans. Simons has been through 7 seasons of ups and downs, and now, standing on Boston's hardwood, he looks like a man ready for his defining chapter. He's been the backup before. He's waited his turn before. But now, the stakes are higher, the lights brighter, and the noise louder. He's no longer just another scorer. He's a symbol of what Boston might become: versatile, confident, and unpredictable. And as the Celtics prepare to face Toronto for their preseason finale, one question echoes across New England. If Anthony Simons can do this before the season even starts, what will happen when the lights are brightest and the games truly count? Joe Mazzulla has made one thing clear. This season, there will be no shortcuts. No room for complacency. Not even in the preseason. While other teams treat these early games as warm-ups, the Boston Celtics head coach is coaching as if every possession already counts toward championship. And what happened in the 138-107 win against the Cleveland Cavaliers left players, reporters, and even fans in disbelief. On paper, the night looked routine. Boston improved to 2 wins and 1 loss in games that technically don't matter. Anthony Simons led with 21 points, shooting 6 of 9 from deep. Josh Minot added 16 points and 6 rebounds off the bench. The energy inside TD Garden was strong. But beneath the numbers, Mazzulla was running a different kind of experiment, one built not on talent, but on discipline. Throughout the game, something unusual kept happening. Every time a Celtic allowed an offensive rebound, Mazzulla immediately pulled that player off the court. No hesitation, no warning. According to reports from Jay King of The Athletic, it didn't matter who the player was or what their box score said. One mistake, and they were out. The message was simple and cold. If you don't protect the glass, you don't play. It's a bold move, even for Mazzulla, who has built a reputation for intensity and precision. But it speaks volumes about what this season means to Boston. The Celtics have been criticized for years for lacking toughness inside, for losing the small battles that decide big games. And with a front court running on a center-by-committee system, those concerns are louder than ever. Mazzulla knows it, and he's addressing it before the real pressure even begins. Boston's rebounding remains a question mark. Chris Boucher, who started at center, is agile and athletic, but not known for controlling the boards. The numbers prove it. What saved the Celtics against Cleveland wasn't their size, but their guards. Derrick White grabbed 7 rebounds in just 22 minutes. Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard each pulled down 5, showing the kind of all-in mentality Mazzulla demands from every player wearing green and white. Still, this approach raises eyebrows. It's one thing to set high standards. It's another to enforce them this aggressively in October, before the season even starts. But that's exactly the point. Mazzulla isn't waiting until April to test his team's mental sharpness. He's conditioning them now, molding their habits before the real games hit. Every substitution is a lesson. Every benching a warning. This isn't about punishing players. It's about setting a tone. Mazzulla wants his roster to understand that winning isn't about talent or reputation. It's about detail. He's not just chasing victories. He's chasing habits that hold up under playoff pressure. And if that means sitting stars in meaningless games, so be it. The Celtics have a rare opportunity this year. With one of the most complete rosters in the league, led by Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, this team has every tool to dominate. But Mazzulla knows what separates contenders from champions. It's the willingness to do the uncomfortable work when no one else is watching. As Boston prepares to face the Toronto Raptors on Wednesday, one question is already circling around the league. If Joe Mazzulla is this demanding in the preseason, how far is he willing to go when the games start to count for real? The Boston Celtics didn't just win. They sent a message. A 138-107 victory against the Cleveland Cavaliers might sound like a typical preseason blowout, but this game revealed something much deeper about what's coming for Boston. The The fans at TD Garden saw a team not only loaded with talent, but also playing with a new identity. And when you look closer, there are 4 crucial details from this matchup that could shape the entire season ahead. Let's start with what stole the spotlight. Anthony Simons. The newest piece of Boston's puzzle showed exactly why he's being called the most important offseason addition. Coming off the bench, Simons exploded for 21 points, hitting 6 of 9 from beyond the arc, all of them pure and confident. These weren't easy catch-and-shoot threes. They were pull-ups, step-backs, shots off the dribble that tested Cleveland's defenders all night. His rhythm looked natural, his confidence contagious. What's more impressive is that Simons, who started for years in Portland, adapted perfectly to a reserve role. If this performance is any indication, he's ready to give Boston's second unit a level of firepower it hasn't had in years. Now to the man behind it all, Joe Mazzulla. The Celtics coach looked like a strategist in mid-season form. For the first time this preseason, he had his full roster available, and he wasted no time experimenting. In just 6 minutes, Mazzulla used 3 different centers. By the start of the second quarter, 12 players had already seen action. That's not rotation chaos. That's intention. Mazzulla is testing every combination, demanding intensity, and most importantly, accountability. Reports confirm he pulled players immediately if they allowed an offensive rebound. It's not just about rebounding. It's about focus, execution, and mindset. Mazzulla wants a team that plays disciplined basketball from the first minute of preseason to the final possession in June. The third factor is the surprising twist in Boston's frontcourt. Chris Boucher started at center, even though he'd been used primarily as a power forward through training camp. This new alignment gave the Celtics a faster, smaller lineup with shooting across all 5 positions. Boucher delivered solid minutes with 6 points in 11 minutes before Xavier Tillman took over in the second half. It's clear that Mazzulla hasn't settled on one rotation yet, and that uncertainty might be by design. By keeping roles flexible, he's creating a culture of competition where effort determines minutes, not seniority. And yet, there's one question still unanswered. Boston has dominated every preseason matchup, but none of those opponents have fielded their regular starters. The Grizzlies, Raptors, and Cavaliers all sat most of their key players. So while the Celtics' chemistry looks promising, we still don't know how this team performs when the lights get brighter and the opposition gets tougher. The small ball approach, the bench rotations, the rebounding discipline, they all look sharp against secondary lineups. But what happens when it's Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or Joel Embiid on the other side? Wednesday's final preseason game against the Toronto Raptors could offer one more glimpse, depending on whether the Raptors bring their starters to TD Garden. If they do, we might finally see how real this new Celtics system is. If not, the first true test will come when the regular season tips off next week. Boston's dominance right now feels calculated, structured, and relentless. Every player looks locked in, every possession has purpose. But under that control, there's still a question that burns through the heart of this team. When the Celtics finally face full-strength NBA talent, will Joe Mazzulla's demanding system hold firm, or will Boston's greatest strength become its biggest risk? And before we find out, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button so you don't miss any updates about what could be the most unpredictable Celtics season in years.